Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you with another What's Next. This is on my number 3 junior welterweight in the world, the former WBA champion, Regis Prograis of the United States. Prograis last fought in the World Boxing Super Series semifinals when he lost his world title and suffered a first loss to undefeated Josh Taylor by a 12-round majority decision. It was a good fight. Prograis was in it, but Taylor just seemed to outwork him. Nobody really complained about the call, but it was in the United Kingdom, and Taylor is from Scotland. So, you know, he was pretty much on a home field advantage right there for Josh Taylor. But Prograis agreed to it, and, you know, we'll see what goes down. Now, Prograis was supposed to return in April and take on Maurice Hooker at a catchweight of 143 pounds to determine the new, you know, actually just to move forward. Both guys have considered moving up to welterweight. That's why it's at a catchweight of 143. So we'll see what goes down. I'm hoping Linares is gonna. I'm hoping Prograis and Hooker gets rescheduled. I know they're already talking about rescheduling the fight for July, and the fact that they're talking about it to me says they're gonna fight next. So I believe Prograis is gonna face Maurice Hooker next for sure. The what's next is gonna be on what does he do after that fight. He is the favorite going in. I believe he's going to knock Maurice Hooker out. But Hooker is a live underdog, and I definitely believe he could pull off the win over Prograis. I don't think Prograis should be a heavy favorite, but he is a decent, solid favorite. And so now let's take a look at what's next for Regis Prograis after he were to hopefully beat Maurice Hooker. So we start with number 1 at 140, and that is the undefeated Josh Taylor. If Prograis wins, I believe he stays at 140. Seeking out a rematch with Taylor are one of those guys. If he loses, probably moving up to 147 full-time. So let's start with him versus a rematch with undefeated Josh Taylor. To be honest, I think this fight is very possible to happen after the Hooker fight because Taylor is going to have to wait around for Jose Ramirez or Victor Pastal. Those two guys are going to fight for the WBC and WBO titles, and the winner is going to have to make a mandatory defense of the WBO mandatory defense next against Jose Ramirez. Against Jack Catterall of the United Kingdom. Now, those guys probably aren't going to want to face Catterall, so if they were to give up the WBO title to move on and face Taylor, that could always be the deal. But I really believe Taylor and them want to fight for undisputed, so I think there's a very good chance that Taylor takes a fight in between while they're doing that, and it very well could be a rematch with Regis Prograis because he wants the big fights, and I really think him and Prograis would be willing to come together for a rematch. So definitely think this fight's possible after Hooker. Number 2 is the undefeated unified junior welterweight champ, Jose Ramirez. I don't see it because Ramirez is trying to get himself in line for a Taylor fight, and he's also trying to hold on to both belts. And if he beats Pastal in his next fight, he's going to have to face Jack Catterall, and I think that's what he does next. So that's what I think he does. Number 3 is Prograis. Number 4 is Jose Cepeda. I guess it's conceivable, but it would be like a WBC eliminator, and Cepeda's not a big name. He's also a good, slick southpaw boxer. I don't think Prograis gives him the time of day, so I don't see this one. Number 5 is is Victor Pastal. If Pastal were to pull off the upset and didn't want to face Jack Catterall next, then I could see him possibly giving Prograis an opportunity. But if he gives up that WBO belt, I think Pastal's going after a rematch with Taylor. I don't think he's looking Prograis' way, so I don't see this one. Number 6 is former lightweight champion Robert Easter Jr. I don't think Prograis going over the PBC to face Robert Easter. It wouldn't make sense for him. So I doubt this one happens. Number 7 is Maurice Hooker. Could these two guys rematch? If the fight's close enough, if it turns out to be a very close decision, if Prograis were to lose, then yeah, I think a rematch with Hooker, he would go for it. If he were to win a close decision and Taylor and some of the other guys don't want to fight him and he wants to just stay busy, I could see him facing Hooker again, yeah. So definitely could happen. Number 8 is a rematch with Kiro Relic. Doesn't make any sense. Even if Relic comes back and gets a big win, Prograis already dominated Relic. He's not a big name, so wouldn't make sense here. So I don't see it. Number 9, Pablo Cesar Cano. You know, if Prograis really wants to get in line for a world title, Kano's up there in the WBC rankings, but he's not a big name, so I don't see Prograis, coming back down to the full weight of 140 to take on Kano, a guy like Kano, you know, which, you know, I think he wants a big fight or a title fight, at 140, and I don't think he's going to face, Pablo Cesar Kano, so I don't see this one. And now the three-way tie for 10th. You got Adrian Granados. I'd love to see the fight. I think it's possible if he's waiting around for, you know, or decides to debut at 147, but then he's got to work a PBC. Now, currently, Prograis, I believe, is a promotional free agent, so I wouldn't completely rule it out, especially if the PBC's trying to sell him to come over there. But, you know, it's possible, but I don't know. I'm leaning towards the less likely. Next is former champ Ivan Barianchik, also tied for 10th. Not seeing it. He would have to probably come back down to the full weight of 140 to get Barianchik, and he's not a big name, so I don't think so. And then lastly, tied for 10th is former two-division champion Rancis Barthelemy. I don't see it. He's also a PBC guy. I think Barthelemy would do everything to avoid a guy like Prograis. That's what he does. He plays it safe. No way I think he fights Prograis. So what do I think Prograis is going to do next after he were to beat Maurice Hooker? I really think he's shooting for that big fight with Josh Taylor. And if he doesn't get it, I think he's probably going to 147. He probably would be willing to go to 147. And, you know, who knows? Maybe he'll say fuck it and go after Terrence Crawford next if Crawford's looking for that big opponent. Prograis, I don't think he's too afraid to fight anybody. So we'll see what he's made of. But that's what is next for former 140-pound champion Regis Prograis. He's my number 3 junior welterweight in the world right now at 140. I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.